The School of Hard Knocks 22 took place at the Century Casino in Calgary. Professional and amateur fighters from across Canada battled it out in the Hard Knocks cage.
To the School of Hard Knocks.
This School of Hard Knocks fight is an amateur bout in the 135-pound division and is brought to you by Scott Safety. And now, let's meet the fighters. Please welcome HK Maldonado.
Coming down to the cage for our next fight in the 135-pound weight class, BJ Maldonado out of Gracie, Baja, here in Calgary, standing 5'6". This fighter fought at 145 pounds at Hard Knocks 20 with a decision loss to Rod Powell, and has really refocused himself to get into the cage for this fight tonight against Andrew Shenfield. Came in with a solid jiu-jitsu background. One of the better jiu-jitsu fighters that we have here in the Hard Knocks cage. Took third place in the Grappler's Quest in Toronto, has 35 jiu-jitsu matches, and is preparing for the World Jiu-Jitsu Championships in California later this year, but does a lot of work with jiu-jitsu, as you would expect from a Gracie Baja fighter, and feels like that's where his edge will be in this fight against Andrew Shenfield. Said he didn't really change much for this camp despite coming off a decision loss, but feels like he needed to get in and really kind of work on what his strengths are. And you see that kind of competing strategy in some camps where guys will really focus on what they're deficient on, where other guys will continue to focus on their strengths and try and push the fight towards that. And that's what BJ Maldonado has done here in trying to get his record back to 500 at 1-1. Of course, coming in just 0-1 in his amateur career thus far.
And his opponent, please welcome Andrew Shenfield.
And BJ Maldonado will face off against Andrew Shenfield, coming to us out of Pix Martial Arts in Edmonton, Alberta. Weighed in at 133.5 pounds, 1-0 as a fighter here in his amateur career. Said he spent some time watching his opponent's fight. Of course, BJ lost that decision loss to Rod Powell, and said he spent some time working on his takedown defense because he knows what BJ can do on the ground. He knows what BJ is capable of when it comes to jiu-jitsu, and so he needed to work on his ground game. Said he worked on his submissions from the guard as well as sweeps from the guard in order to focus on the jiu-jitsu aspect of this camp and preparing for a fighter of BJ's capabilities in jiu-jitsu. Now on the other side, Shenfield calls himself an intense fighter. Fighting with the Red Dragons fight team, has said that he really he feels a lot calmer though headed into this fight. And we hear that a lot from guys coming into their second fight, that their first fight was so much nerves, was so much panic, and everything that's involved in just getting down to the cage for the first time really saps you of energy by the time the cage door actually closes. A lot of that saps the adrenaline of guys in their first fight. And Andrew Shenfield, despite winning that fight, feels that he'll be better prepared to step into the cage and find himself coming out with another win tonight and furthering his amateur career. Of course, on the other side, you've got BJ Maldonado, who is a very game opponent. Now for the official introductions, here's Jaden Nance.
And now, the official Hard Knocks Fighter introductions. In the Rig Pig Apparel blue corner, he's 0-1 as an amateur. He's 32 years old and stands 5 feet, 5 inches tall. He weighed in at 135 pounds, fighting out of Gracie, Baja from Calgary. Please welcome Hard Knocks Fighter, BJ Baldonado! And in the Two Amigos Moving and Storage red corner, he's 1-0 as an amateur, 22 years old, and stands 5 feet, 8 inches tall. He weighed in at 133.5 pounds, fighting out of Pix Martial Arts from Edmonton. Please welcome Hard Knocks Fighter, Andrew Shenfield. This bout will be contested under amateur rules. The referee in charge of the Hard Knocks action is Mr. Len Coivisto.
So as we get set for our 7th fight of the evening, BJ Baldonado coming out of the blue corner with the black trunks. Also black trunks for Andrew Shenfield. And the easiest way to tell them apart, I guess, is that BJ Baldonado is the bald guy.
And has tattoos on his chest of his kids.
Yes, and has his children's faces tattooed on their chest.
Nice
big kick to the midsection of Shenfield as both these fighters stay low. You can see Shenfield worried about the takedown as he's really keeping a low center of gravity, but a big right hand from Baldonado has Shenfield down, and he swarmed. Baldonado swarms, but Shenfield seems to have recovered here. But Baldonado trying to work that jiu-jitsu and trying to get in, and finds himself now in the half guard of Shenfield.
Safest thing to do when you get rocked in an amateur fight in the Calgary Commission is to go to the ground. That means you can't be punched in the head anymore. You can't be contacted to the head anymore. So good technique, and then good intelligent defending by Andrew Shenfield. You don't want to give that official a reason to stop that fight early, and Shenfield, as soon as he went down, was defending. So great job there by Shenfield to get his composure back, but a big shot by BJ Baldonado to set the whole thing started.
And more strikes coming from Baldonado now that they're on the ground. Shenfield is doing what he can to not let that arm get isolated, because that's what you can see BJ Baldonado from our vantage point is trying to do. He's pulling that arm up, trying to isolate it, likely looking to roll it over into an arm bar, something that we see from the Gracie Baja fighters on a regular basis here in Hard Knocks, and Shenfield doing everything he can to keep those limbs in tight and not allow for that arm bar to happen.
You might also look here if he's able to pass the arm on the right side, that when he's creeped up like that, to do a on the top triangle choke. So we'll see what he goes to go for. But he's really high up at this point, not landing any strikes, and giving Andrew Shenfield an opportunity to be able to get off his back.
At one, just laying one hand on the face of Shenfield. Again, strikes to the head of a downed opponent, not legal here in the amateur rules under the Calgary Combative Sports Commission. Shenfield trying to defend, but not able to do much from here. Baldonado very patient, waiting for his opportunity, perhaps waiting for Shenfield to make a mistake, and he may have done so as he's exposed an arm and immediately taps. Andrew Shenfield taps to BJ Baldonado, who gets his first mixed martial arts victory here in the Hard Knocks Fighting Championship. And when we've got an award for stoppage of the night, and through 7 fights, we've got one stoppage, a quick nomination for BJ Baldonado for stoppage of the night.
Well, yeah, he did a great job. It's our now second stoppage of the night. As it stands, Cody Clark was going to win every single stoppage award, but now some competition for BJ Baldonado. And you watch here, as he's, like Ryan mentioned, he's extremely patient, trying to get into the good position, and he gets it once it's nice and solid, and he knows he's going to end up in a good solid shot, slips it in, gets to a good position, extends, and I think on the way over, definitely Andrew Shenfield knew that this was going to be tight and it was going to be solid. So great job by BJ Baldonado. He's going to win his first fight. Always special for any fighter to win your first fight. And with his coach Josh Russell now doing a nice little pose for the camera. And looks like we have our official decision. We're going to head to Jaden Nance, who's in the center of the cage.
Ladies and gentlemen, the official decision is in. Brought to you by Scott Safety. The winner by tap out due to armbar at 2 minutes and 13 seconds in the very first round. In the blue corner, BJ Baldonado.
BJ Baldonado with his first amateur victory. He's going to be in the center with Ryan.
Center of the cage. Didn't work out so well for you the last time you stepped in the Hard Knocks cage. Tonight, really got to show off your jiu-jitsu.
I don't know if I'm good. I just do what we do. We train every day, so do what feels natural. Right?
Now, far be it for me to suggest that the Gracie Baja move is the arm bar, but walk us through the finish here if you can.
I just worked his arm up until I could get my hips behind it, and then roll to his knees and let his arm out and I took it. So.
How patient did you feel you had to be because you were sitting on top of him for a while, just one hand on his face, waiting for that mistake?
Well, I was comfortable there. He's carrying my weight, so I can sit there all day. So.
Fair enough. I'm sure you got sponsors and coaches to thank.
Yeah, I got a great team at Gracie Baja. We're like a family, right? So we do what we do. We take care of each other. We train hard. I got a lot of friends here coming out to support me. Thank them too. My family at home. It's great. I got a great team on me. So.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one more time for your winner, BJ Baldonado.
To find out more about Hard Knocks Fighting and upcoming Hard Knocks events, please visit hardknocksfighting.com.
And now, the official Hard Knocks fighter introductions. In the Great Pig Apparel blue corner, he's 1-0 as an amateur, 39 years old, and stands 6 feet, 3 inches tall. He weighed in at 184 1/2 pounds. Fighting out of Banff Karate from Banff, Alberta, please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, Damon Miller! And in the Two Amigos Moving and Storage red corner, he's 1-4 as an amateur, 30 years old, and stands 5 feet, 10 inches tall. He weighed in at 185 pounds. Fighting out of Dynamic MMA from Calgary, please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, Bo Bentley. This bout will be contested under amateur rules. The referee in charge of the Hard Knocks action is Mr. Brian Beauchamp.
Brian Beauchamp again in charge of the cage as Bo Bentley and Damon Miller get set to square off. Miller with a significant height advantage and a reach advantage, and knowing what he can do as a striker, it'll be interesting to see how Bentley can get inside and if Bentley can get inside Miller's strikes.
Yeah, Bentley looks a lot thicker than last time we see him, and again, it does come down to the fact that he is in a 15-pound heavier weight class, but he looks even more broad against the shoulders. His musculature is much more than we've seen him, so we'll see that if this is a different fighter. In on the leg attacks, trying to go in, but nice counter by Damon Miller, getting his legs back, and Bo Bentley pulled guard there.
Yeah, Bentley it looked like he was trying for the double leg, was unable to secure it. Miller just pushing back against Bentley, and now Bentley trying for a submission here, might have had a hand under the arm, but has given that up now as Miller looking to posture up and maybe land some strikes to the body of his opponent, although it wasn't, again, no strikes to the head of a downed opponent here in the Hard Knocks Fighting Championship under amateur rules in the Calgary Combative Sports Commission, but still ground and pound still an option, Jeremy, because throwing those strikes to the body, knees to the body, elbows to the body, that will take its toll over the course of a couple rounds.
Absolutely, and Bo Bentley right now doing a great job with a closed guard. He's trying to work inside, trying to get those feet to the hips to push off. Now he's coming through here, trying to get to one arm and unable to do it. Now trying to maybe work a rubber guard in is Bo Bentley from the bottom. Damon Miller has been effective from the top, but I wouldn't say he's doing any real damage from the top.
No, so far so good if you're Bo Bentley, knowing what Damon Miller can do with his strikes. And it looked for a moment like Bentley was going to try and slip a triangle up, but has given up on that attempt, as now he returns back to the full guard, trying to throw again, trying to find the triangle. A good job of Damon Miller slipping the armbar attempt as well and getting back into that guard. Again, staying on top, and I understand that he may not be doing significant damage, but from the judge's standpoint, cage control matters, and Damon Miller is doing that now.
Yeah, Damon Miller needs to increase the punches. He doesn't necessarily need to land heavy punches, but he needs to remain busy. Because the takedown wasn't a full takedown, it was Bo Bentley pulling guard, and Bo Bentley is very busy on the ground. So in a dominant position, yes, but the referee's standing them up, and this is going to give Bo Bentley an opportunity to come back with about 30 seconds remaining on our featurefights.ca round clock.
Kick to the midsection, Superman punch attempted, met with a strike of his own. Some big punches landing here, but Bentley keeps coming forward as Miller landing the strikes to the head.
Yep, Miller doing an excellent job again with takedown defense. Coming in to try and get those ankles and secure a takedown and possibly steal this round is Bo Bentley, trying to remain busy here in the last couple seconds of the round.
Throwing punches to the leg, trying to take away the power base of the Miller as we look towards round number 2. Damon Miller spending the majority of that round on top, but again, Bo Bentley did pull guard, and it's something we see with the amateurs here in Calgary and here in the Hard Knocks Fighting Championship. Sometimes they go into guard out of habit, but it's not necessarily the best decision, because you end up with an opponent in a dominant position and try as he might to throw up submissions, try and find the armbar, try and find the triangle. Bo Bentley just unsuccessful with his jiu-jitsu from the bottom.
And I don't think Bo Bentley needed to pull guard. There's a difference when it's, I realize that I'm in trouble and now I'm going to pull guard. But he didn't need to. He could have got his feet going, and here you're going to look at the stuffed leg attack, and he could have kept his feet, and he ended up deciding to pull guard. If you're going to do that, you need to counter right away when you hit the ground. You need to try and switch right away when you hit the ground. There's no point lying down and waiting for a couple seconds for your opponent to get set. Take him where you know you're going, and you're able to get him. Especially since he had that butterfly in, he would have been able to kick Damon Miller over, but we'll see how the next round goes. Again, 90 seconds.
Yeah, 90 seconds in just 3 3-minute rounds here for the amateurs in Calgary. Once we get to the professional fights tonight, of which we have 4, you'll see full 5-minute rounds. And here's the very beginning of the fight as the two came out, and Bo Bentley throwing the big spin kick to the midsection of Miller, coming over, trying the Superman punch. That was after the restart, of course, and Miller throwing some heavy punches on the way down after not taking much damage from the strikes from Bo Bentley. So they meet in the center of the cage, touch gloves, and we're underway. A leg kick returned, and Miller immediately backs off, knowing where that landed. Bo Bentley going to give himself a bit of a rest. And as we saw, the low blow, unintentional, of course, and they do have to move to neutral corners. So there's no coaching going on during this timeout. Again, an unintentional low blow, but got to watch out for that. We have seen that cost a fighter a win tonight, in my opinion, with the majority draw earlier tonight. We saw Elvis Vukai get a draw in his decision as opposed to a win because of a redacted point after a low blow.
And I don't think any of these low blows are on purpose, but if you aren't responsible with your striking and you're not accurate with your striking, this is what happens. It is a contact sport. It's good, though, that Bo Bentley is taking his time. The crowd might not necessarily like it, but he needs to make sure he takes his time.
Well, again, a full 5 minutes allowed on a low blow, and Bo Bentley making sure he's 100%, because like we said earlier, you saw the effects on it on other fighters, and they come back too quickly. They don't get the proper recovery from the blow, and as a result, they're unable to continue.
Again, Bo Bentley taking his time, making sure that goes from there. Damon Miller actually in our corner if we were coaching him right now as he sits here, so maybe he should listen to our commentary as we go forward.
I'll refrain from coaching at this point because I'm sure he knows much better than I do. And Bo Bentley telling Brian Beauchamp, yep, I think I'm ready. So it looks like we'll head back into our corners and we'll get back underway here in round number 2 of our 8th fight of the night.
Yeah, and a good show of respect by these athletes. And you hear a couple boos from the crowd. They just don't understand. When you get hit there, it hurts, and it hurts your whole body. You feel it throughout, and you feel weakened. That's where it goes. And a nice takedown here by Bo Bentley. He needs to continue on and finish it. He can't be satisfied with the half takedown. He's got a good grip here and an excellent finish.
A nice slam to the ground from Bentley. And looking for an arm immediately was Miller, but was unable to pull it free. And you can see him working his way to the cage and might try and wall walk his way up and get out of this situation. Bentley trying to hold Miller down, but so far Miller's so good as he gets back to his feet. And we'll see if Bentley can secure another takedown. Still has the double leg, but at this point now has let that go. And we'll see if he transitions to a single leg or if he decides to back off.
And going down to the ankle, seeing that Damon Miller was putting a lot of support on one, and submission attempt here. I don't think he's actually going to try and submit him from here. I think this is more of a, I don't want you shooting it on my legs, so I want you to concentrate on this form of offense that I'm giving you. And not much pressure there, but if Bo Bentley doesn't deal with this position, Damon Miller can definitely take advantage.
3 big elbows to the back of Bo Bentley, and we saw how that transitioned earlier between Mackenzie Senger and Jeremy Edwards, with Senger getting frustrated with the elbows and immediately taking Edwards down and securing the victory, in my mind, in that round. But Damon Miller, again, now we get a stoppage up against the cage. There's not much action happening. Bo Bentley backs off, and we restart again here in round number 2. 1 minute on the clock, our feature fights.ca clock, as we get set as these two fighters now trading punches in the center of the cage, and that may be a dangerous game for Bo Bentley.
Yeah, that reach is really paying off for Damon Miller. And these shots, it looks like with his shots that he's going to the legs instead of past the legs. Anybody can tell you when it comes to a punch, you don't punch to a guy's face. You try and punch 2 inches through his face. That means you're getting good contact. And what's happening is the same thing on a leg attack. Bo Bentley needs to shoot 2 feet past Damon Miller if he wants to be successful. He's shooting to the legs. Damon Miller getting his legs back and able to counter with ease at this point.
Up against the cage now, Miller has Bentley. Miller in the black trunks, Bentley in the blue, as we're just 10 seconds away from the end of round number 2. This one, a close round, Bentley having the majority of the control up against the cage, but Miller turning it around after the restart, and he'll head back to his corner and get set for round number 3 as these two fighters get into that 3rd and final round. It's interesting looking at the history of Bo Bentley, stopped by a liver kick from David Redbeard Swanson in his 3rd fight of his career, and is coming in on that 4-fight losing streak, doing a good job here against a game opponent in Damon Miller, and getting ready to potentially look towards the judges' scorecards.
Here you go, the replay here, and here we're going to see a flurry of action, some nice shots in under the legs, and now, as you see, he continues to go past, he continues to go forward, and then he gets to a point where there's a stall. At this point, Bo Bentley needs to do one of 2 things. He needs to come up and pick him up, as you see that he does here, or he needs to retreat and bring the legs with him and bring Damon Miller's hips underneath. He's in a good position here. You're going to see how he's going to drop his hips and pick up. An excellent slam, ending up in a good position, and again, leaving an impact move in the judge's mind.
And the impact move also coming by a replay, in case the judges had forgotten. But Bo Bentley crouched down, and again, the psychology of this I always find interesting, Jeremy, of the strategy of whether or not to take that rest in the corner, or whether or not you're going to stand and show your opponent that you're ready to go. And that was the choice taken by Damon Miller as he gets set to come out for round number 3. Miller in the black trunks, Bentley in the blue, as we are in the 3rd and final round of our 8th fight of the night.
And that first punch by Damon Miller, these are really big punches that he's throwing. Looks like he's trying to stun Bo Bentley, but Bo Bentley giving as good as he's getting and returning the punches. The reach, though, very evident in these hand-to-hand exchanges.
Miller continues to throw punches against Bentley, who now has him up against the cage. Big strikes coming there. Bentley just trying to get out of the way, and maybe a big right hand there missed by Miller. Bentley comes in with the Superman punch. He seems to be slowing down, Jeremy.
Well, he's trying to get inside, and it's very difficult. Damon Miller is doing an excellent job at keeping him outside. And as Bo Bentley is expending energy getting inside, not only is he getting punched in the face, but Damon Miller is doing a great job missing. And these are nice big bombs by Miller. In on the legs is Bo Bentley, and a takedown. The takedown's not going to do it for Bo Bentley. He really needs to be very active on the ground to win this round back.
Well, just 1 minute gone in round number 3 here, but Bo Bentley on top and looking gassed. Not a lot of action coming from him that we saw in the first 2 rounds. But again, I mean, you know, you talk about winning this round, but there could be a case for either fighter having won either of the first 2 rounds. So certainly no desire to sit and wait for the finish here from either fighter, as they know they need to put it on here in the 3rd round to get the finish.
If I'm Bo Bentley, I need to stay in this position. And here we go, trying again for a Kimura is Damon Miller. And he finds good success with those jiu-jitsu attempts, and now trying to sweep from that position as well. Bo Bentley needs to really be active here. He needs to make a statement on the ground. Damon Miller made a statement on the standing. It looked like Bo Bentley got in on that leg attack to get away more than to attack from it. And it looks like they're going to stand him up. If Bo Bentley really needs to come forward here, at this point, I think Damon Miller's winning the round, even with a takedown against him. But again, I'm not a judge, and I'm not sitting where the judges are sitting. So every single view is different.
30 seconds left in round number 3, and Damon Miller trying to load up those punches and finish this fight. Bo Bentley up against the cage. He's throwing, but not connecting at this point. Just that one falling behind the head of Miller. And again, Damon Miller is throwing punches up against the cage. Bo Bentley's in trouble. Can he hang on for the last 15 seconds? Likely now as he goes down to the ground. Damon Miller letting him up with 10 seconds to go. Bentley going to be slow to get up, I imagine. Not wanting to take any more punches here with just the final seconds. 3rd and final round is over. We'll go to the judges' scorecards in a close fight between Bo Bentley and Damon Miller. Certainly, Jeremy, normally when I walk into the cage, I've got a good idea of who I think has won this fight. But this one, too close to call in my mind. I certainly give the 3rd round to Miller, but the first 2 rounds could have gone either way. So it'll be interesting to see who comes away the victor.
No, and that's exactly it. And Dana White even is a big proponent of not leaving it in the judges in the hands. And Ari Tobe, the CEO and president of the Hard Knocks Fight Championship, is the same way. He says don't leave it with those judges. And Damon Miller definitely did win the 3rd round. You can see the how much he's punishing Bo Bentley in the 3rd round, but we're going to see what those judges come up with. And again, first 2 rounds very close to call, and the last round again definitely going to Damon Miller. So we'll see what happens here. It's our 8th fight of the night. We have 2 more amateur bouts after this, followed by 4 professional. Again, the professional under the unified MMA rules, 3 5-minute rounds with full strikes. Look at the replay here of the takedown. And excellent form there. I think Bo Bentley got in those legs to get away from the strikes and realized, hey, I'm in the legs pretty good. I'm going to try and take him down. But was unable to remain as busy on the ground. And Damon Miller, they're representing Banff, Alberta, and Banff Karate, 39 years old, and looking for his 2nd win. If Bo Bentley does lose this one, he'll have 5 losses to opponents who are all still undefeated. So I guess a badge of honor if he does lose this fight, but we'll see with Jaden Anson in 7.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the official decision brought to you by Big 4 Motors. The winner by split decision in the blue corner, Damon Miller!
Damon Miller winning by split decision, and he is in the center with Ryan.
Damon, I'll ask you a few questions and then I'll let you go catch your breath. The first time you were here, not as tough a fight as you saw tonight.
Yeah, This is some pretty deep water for me this time, holy cow.
So, any hesitation being a 39-year-old man stepping into the cage?
I get angrier every year, so none.
And with 2 wins under your belt and 2 MMA wins, I'm sure we'll see you back in the Hard Knocks cage.
You know, I want to be back here, but I just got to give my hats off to all the guys that come in here and train, because it's a huge commitment taking you away from, you know, family. If you got a job, you got to convince your boss that this is normal. Getting in here is just massive, so I want to come back, but it might be a couple months before I do that, otherwise I'll be divorced. I want to say thanks to my family for putting up with this, to my friends, my karate club, Canmore Fight Club, and everyone else that's stepped into a ring and thrown punches in my face or kicks in my body. And I want to shout out to Bo too. Holy crap, I had a great fight. That was, I guess you call that fun for us.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one more time for your winner, David Miller.
To find out more about Hard Knocks Fighting and upcoming Hard Knocks events, please visit hardknocksfighting.com.
This school of Hard Knocks Fight is an amateur bout in the 170-pound division and is brought to you by Urban Mobility. And now, let's meet the fighters. Please welcome Gurdeep Rangi.
Now coming down to the cage out of Tilt MMA here in Calgary, Gurdeep Rangi coming down 1-0 as an amateur, and we saw a lot of what he could do in his first fight on the ground. We saw that he was able to work his jiu-jitsu, transition, as well as that. He said he's training for the Jiu-Jitsu Pan Am Games here in a couple of weeks coming forward, and doesn't feel like he needs to be worried about his opponent. Says that he's very confident in his skills and able to move forward, and he'll face David Kluche tonight and has no game tape on him because, of course, Kluche hasn't had any fights here in his MMA career, but knows that he's able to get in and do what he can do. Now, of course, he's got Anderson Goncalves in his corner, a black belt jiu-jitsu instructor, one of the best jiu-jitsu instructors here in the country, let alone Calgary itself. But Anderson, of course, feels that Gurdeep is well prepared for this fight, is secure in the fact that he can get his takedowns and work the jiu-jitsu that he needs to do. But in talking to Gurdeep and not knowing about anything with David Kluche, he said that you really can't be opponent specific in amateur because you never know where the skill level is at, because even if he had seen David Kluche fight before, who knows what skills he would have picked up in the fights before that or between fights, and Gurdeep really taking a solid approach to that, saying that I need to worry about my game. I can't worry about my opponent, because if I just spend time worrying about my singular opponent, I may miss out on what he's improved on since his last fight.
And his opponent, please welcome David Kluche.
Now coming down to the cage to face off against Gurdeep Rangi is David Kluche out of the Ayatos Pankration Gym. Of course, we've seen other guys from that gym in the past, with Lee Palachuk coming into the Hard Knocks cage. David Kluche, though, just 22 years old, standing 5'10", weighed in at 170.5 pounds. And when I asked him about nerves, about getting into the cage, he just kind of shrugged it off, said it is what it is. Yes, there are going to be nerves there, but he expects there to be nerves there, and we'll see whether or not he's able to get past those nerves and work out and get a win here against Gurdeep Rangi. Now, when talking about what kind of fighter David is, he said, well, primarily I'm a stand-up fighter, but he's been working on his takedown defenses in camp in order to prepare for what Rangi has. Having seen the tape on Rangi, the coaches, of course, watching the fight, he said he didn't watch the fight himself because he didn't want to get anything into his head. He thought it would be better if the coaches watched the fight and in order to prepare him for the fight. But again, they focused on takedown defense here in the camp. Feels like his jiu-jitsu is on par. It's good enough. It is what it needs to be in order to fight this fight and step into the cage as an amateur for the very first time. Again, nerves will be an issue for David Cloutier as he makes his way into the cage, and we'll see what he's able to do against Gertie Brangi here in his amateur debut. Now, for the official introductions, we'll head into the center of the cage with Jaden Nance.
And now, the official Hard Knocks fighter introductions. In the Rig Pig Apparel blue corner, he's 1-0 as an amateur, 19 years old, and stands 5 feet, 10 inches tall. He weighed in at 169 pounds, fighting out of Tilt MMA from Calgary. Please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, Gertie Brangi. In the Two Amigos Moving and Storage red corner, it's his amateur debut. He's 22 years old and stands 5 feet, 10 inches tall. He weighed in at 170.5 pounds, fighting out of Aetos Pancration from Calgary. Please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, David Cloutier. This bout will be contested under amateur rules. The referee in charge of the Hard Knocks action is Mr. Len Koivisto.
Len Koivisto back in charge in the center of the cage. Gertie Brangi with a very healthy cheering section here at the Hard Knocks Fighting Championship, as he has both times that he's fought here, and comes out and starts with throwing a jab. Cloutier coming in with strikes of his own and doing a very effective job of keeping Rangi at bay here in the early going.
Yeah, definitely some powerful shots coming from Cloutier, but not very accurate. Catching the leg now of Gertie Brangi. Rangi able to get out, and another shot to the groin. Seems to be there happens to be themes every single fights that we've come in. Sometimes they're all quick finishes, sometimes they're all going, but today's fight, kicked in the nuts.
Sometimes it's all red corner, other times it's all blue corner, but you're very right. Tonight certainly seems to be the shake your boys and get them back to action here as he tries to jump them out of his body.
Hard Knocks 22, kicked in the nuts.
The school of Hard Knocks. And Hard Knocks has certainly been the theme tonight. Again, David Cloutier trying to recover from a low blow, and Len Koivisto reminding Gertie Brangi not to kick anybody there. Again, certainly not an intentional low blow.
Another caught kick, so this is something that Gertie Brangi has to look out for. It might be that he's telegraphing his kicks, and you look at David Cloutier, again, he's throwing very powerful shots. And in on the legs now, trying to take down. He's got a lot of power to him, but Gertie Brangi, when he lands very accurately. It might not be as hard as Cloutier is throwing, but again, very accurate.
Well, and you could see Cloutier thought about the takedown and then potentially remembered what Gertie Brangi's capable of and gave up on the takedown attempt and put Rangi back down and went back to striking.
Rangi looks very calm and composed for a guy with only one amateur fight under his belt, this being his second.
And just 19 years old as well.
Good snap to that kick, in and back down into a good position. Nice shot landed there. It seems that every time David Cloutier lands a shot, he rushes forward. He needs to be patient on that. And now you look at the accurate striking of Gertie Brangi and the blood pouring.
I'm pretty sure that he broke David Cloutier's nose with that right hand as he came across, because as you mentioned, Jeremy, the blood is pouring out of David Cloutier's nose at this moment. Mouth open, trying to breathe. I spoke to Bryce Berry during the intermission. He said that he didn't quit from the pain of the strikes. He quit because he thought he was drowning, the blood going back down into his throat from his nose, and was unable to get it clear and was unable to breathe. That may be a problem here going forward for David Cloutier as Gertie Brangi looks to take this fight to the ground.
Yeah, Gertie Brangi wants to bring the fight where he's comfortable, and like I mentioned before, there's two ways to finish a double leg. The first one is to pick him up and slam him. The other is to vacate the area. Pull him away from the cage as he's leaning on the cage. His back will slide down, successful takedown. Again, look at the nose of David Cloutier. It just looks ghastly.
Yeah, certainly damage done by Gertie Brangi here, and you can see the blood all over the back of Gertie Brangi from David Cloutier's nose. And Rangi now trying to find potentially a choke up against the cage, maybe looking for a guillotine choke, but it does look like Cloutier's got one hand in. But Rangi tilting that back with 20 seconds to go, throwing knees as well up against the cage. David Cloutier in some trouble here. Gertie Brangi, with just 10 seconds left in round number one, has dominated this round up against the cage. Cloutier in trouble here in the late going, but Rangi unable to secure another takedown. But the face of David Cloutier, a bloody mess, and Gertie Brangi, a very effective striking performance here after putting on a jiu-jitsu clinic the last time we saw him. Tonight he's throwing his fists. This looks like a kid who's starting to put it all together.
Absolutely. Gertie Brangi's back looks like a William Peterson experiment from CSI. There's blood spatter all over his back as he was dominating that position. The thing that we have to watch out for, as effective as Gertie was, you can see the power behind David Cloutier's shots, and they haven't landed clean yet. If he lands one of those clean, it's going to be a very big, dramatic shot when it lands clean.
The doctor coming in to check on David Cloutier. And it doesn't look like this fight has been called off, so we will see round number two. We have seen in the past with the amateur fighters, especially when you get into that kind of situation where the fight gets called. And again, fighter safety of paramount importance here in the School of Hard Knocks and anywhere in mixed martial arts, of course. But the School of Hard Knocks always taking care of their fighters, making sure that they are safe to continue. And it looks as though David Cloutier is that.
We just saw in the replay the shot that actually did all the damage to the nose, and it was a glancing blow. And this is the thing with the nose. When you hit the nose full on, it doesn't do much damage. You hit it on a glancing blow and it rattles around with the bone, and that's what causes it to bleed. And the bleeding appears to be under control here for David Cloutier, and Gertie Brangi looks ready to go.
So Rangi in the white trunks with the orange trim, the white trunks with the blood on the front belonging to David Cloutier. Although he's trying to come in and strike, Gertie landed a big uppercut in there, and backing off there it was David Cloutier, and Rangi continuing to stalk him across the cage. But again, Jeremy, like you mentioned, some heavy hands coming from Cloutier. If he can land them cleanly, Gertie could be in trouble.
And the difference is, and I've mentioned it in previous events, accuracy when it comes to striking is 100% more important than power. If you hit a guy 100 times with 10% power, his face is going to look like raw meat. You hit him once with 100% power, you might knock him out, and you might not. It's a very low percentage, but now you look at Gertie Brangi now with the top position, a little more time to work, looking to push his opponent against and in the guard of David Cloutier.
We'll see what Rangi can do from here. We watched what he did to Mackenzie Sanger earlier in his first fight, and he really dominated once the fight got to the ground. And again, David Cloutier describing his jiu-jitsu as at par with where he wants it to be, and we'll see how well he can defend here on the ground against Gertie Brangi.
And Gertie Brangi remaining busy. That's the important thing for the judges. But again, the blood streaming out of the nose. If the doctor stops it with the amount of blood coming out, I don't think that that's probably the best thing. Sometimes you just have to let the guys fight, and sometimes nosebleed. There's a couple fighters that are really famous for getting bloody noses really quick and it not having that big of an effect. You look at someone like Forrest Griffin in the UFC, has a bloody nose about 3 seconds into every fight, but he's a very effective fighter for the entire time.
Both fighters stood back up after not much happening on the ground. Rangi looks to want to work his striking today, and that's what he has been doing thus far. And again, the face of David Buche is telling the tale of this fight so far, as he looks a bloody mess, and Rangi continues to keep coming forward.
And every time Rangi is connecting, blood flies from Buche's mouth. It doesn't matter where he connects, whether it's a kick or a punch.
Another series of punches up against the cage. Credit Buche for continuing to stand up, because he's eating a lot of punishment. And a timeout now called, as we're going to get the doctor to look at, again, Buche's nose. As again, fighter safety is paramount. The doctor looking at Buche's nose. Rangi heading over to the neutral corner, where he will rest and await his opponent. Communicating with his fans a little, talking to the fans that stand here behind his cage side. But again, the doctor taking a close look at Buche's nose, and referee Len Coivisto. Apparently we are still good to go. Buche is game to continue, so we will continue here in round number 2 of the Hard Knocks Fighting Championship, fight number 9 on our amateur card, as Gurdeep Rangi and David Buche go head-to-head. Rangi with the orange streak across his trunks.
And this looks like David Buche is coming forward with all he's worth. He thinks he has one last gasp in this fight, and he's coming forward with it. Again, we're down to short time here, and
that is it for David Buche. Just suffered one too many blows from Gurdeep Rangi, and Len Coivisto has called this fight. It'll be a busy one for the cleanup crew between fights here. I'm sure we'll have a bit of an extended break as they clean up after this one.
Yeah, excellent display by Gurdeep Rangi. He was phenomenal throughout in every phase. Seems to be showing up for some fans there in our VIP section. And again, all credit to David Buche, but Gurdeep Rangi is a different kind of fighter. We'll look at the replays here, and again, coming forward really heavy is David Buche, and every single time he does, Gurdeep Rangi lands one or two good shots right to the face, and by that time, it looked like David Buche had enough. He didn't want any more of Gurdeep Rangi. Credit to him, but again, you can only take so many times to get punched in the face. Okay, it looks like we're waiting for our official decision as it comes in, and look at the face of David Buche. All credit to him, Gurdeep Rangi, all smiles in the corner. Here's the end of the fight here. And Len Coivisto had enough. He saw the punishment that David Buche was taking, took the safety into concern. We're going to go to Jaden Ants, who's going to be in the center of the cage with the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, a special thank you to Lee from Eagle Law for supporting Kidsport Calgary. We have the official decision, brought to you by Urban Mobility. The winner by referee stoppage at 2 minutes and 58 seconds in the second round. In the blue corner, Gurdeep Rangi.
So again, Gurdeep Rangi with the decision. He's going to be in with Ryan.
Gurdeep, I'll get you here, center of the cage. The last time we saw you in the Hard Knocks cage, you were moving Mackenzie Sengar around, beating him up on the ground. Certainly changed your game plan headed into tonight.
Yeah, well, I've been working a lot of striking and wanted to show that off. So I worked close with my Muay Thai coach Francois and Anderson, so in case the guy did scare me or something, I could just shoot it and take him down. But I felt comfortable standing.
So was there ever a thought to try and take him down and work the jiu-jitsu, or is it all stand-up for you tonight?
No, definitely when I took him down those 2 times against the cage, timed them, pressed him against the cage, and go back and finish.
Now he kept coming forward, and we'll see here a couple exchanges. Looked like he had some heavy shots, but you were getting the more accurate of the two.
Yeah, he connected a few times, but it didn't bother me that much. Hard training partners, all my sparring partners hit hard, so I was used to getting hit.
And I'm sure you got some coaches and fans and sponsors to thank.
Yeah, I got my coaches. Anderson Goncalves, of course, my jiu-jitsu coach. Francois Duval works wonders with me. All my training partners, like Alan Hernandez, Rich Turner, Gabriel Araju, like all those big guys in the gym pick me up, right? So I thank all my training partners, because without them, it wouldn't be possible.
And you got some fans here in the crowd. Happy to see you winning. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one more time for your winner, Gertie Bragg.